In this video, we're going to talk about inflation, and then we're going to talk about some ways we can combat inflation, both short-term and long-term. So let's say you have a tin of beans and a gold bar. Now, the value of the beans is $1, and this represents the cost of goods you buy, and the value of the gold bar is $1. This represents the value of your income. So the government decides it's a good idea to start printing money. What happens to your gold bar? The value of your dollar that you go to work and earn starts to shrink as more and more dollars are added to the economy. Your dollar starts to shrink in value. It now takes more money to buy the tin of beans. And it is now, in real terms, worth 10% less or 10 cents less, and now it's worth 90 cents. This is something people struggle to understand. The value of the dollar is not a fixed amount. It's the same for the pound and all other currencies where the government's printing money. The value of your currency, of your money, is not set in stone. But through quantitative easing, which is a fancy word for printing money, it gets smaller. And this is one of the reasons why your income shrinks. Now, let's say there are global events that disrupt supply chains and make things harder and more expensive to source. What happens? Well, if beans are more valuable because they're scarcer or they're harder to produce, then that means they're going to cost more to buy. So not only has your money dropped in value, the price of goods has increased as well. And now you have two factors affecting why your money is worth less. And we have just experienced a perfect storm to create very high inflation. So inflation is going nuts. So the first thing we have to do is not panic. And it helps if we realize that we have to deal with inflation all the time. Typically, inflation might run 3, 4, 5, 6%. And you're not going to notice that so much because your pay rise every year typically covers that. So this is a part of life and the way that currency operates. And it's a normal thing we have to deal with. But because we're in unusual times, inflation went up really fast in a really short space of time. And that is what is catching people out. If inflation has risen by 20 or 30%, and that's what it can be in terms of real-term impact for some people. It can be even higher for some people. Obviously, the governments are going to print their version of what inflation is, but that's averaged out. Different people are impacted in different ways, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But you could be impacted, say, 20, 30% of income. The value of your money has just dropped 20, 30%. But it happened so quick that it was an unusual event, and that has surprised people. But we have to understand that this is happening all the time. So even when this period is over and inflation comes back down to more reasonable levels, we still have to deal with inflation and protect ourselves from it. When we exchange time for money, it is really difficult for us to combat inflation. And one of the reasons is all of a sudden we have to find 20%. So let's say we see a 20% increase in real terms to our fuel, our utilities, the mortgage rates, credit rates, food. Maybe we rent instead of having a mortgage and that's gone up. Then we have to find that 20% increase in our income all of a sudden. Now, normally the rate of inflation can be covered by a wage rise, but it's hard to get a 20% wage rise from your job right now. Could you imagine walking into the boss tomorrow and saying, look, I need a 20% pay rise? But this is what happens when we exchange time for money. When we take our time and we sell it for a fixed amount every year. If there's a massive shift in the demands on our money, we're very, very exposed. And because it's a fixed amount we earn, that 20% increase impacts us heavily. So let's talk about exposure to inflation. Not everybody is exposed to inflation the same. The less disposable income we have, the more we are exposed to inflationary pressures. So if we have a 50% disposable income every month, then a 20% change in the value of our pound, in real terms, is something that can be coped with. We won't like it, but a few adjustments to the lifestyle and we're good. Maybe we miss out on one holiday this year. But if we're heavily exposed due to low disposable income because of low earnings, exchanging time for money, and or high debt levels, then this becomes a very serious issue, both short-term and long-term. Because if you think about it, if you're having to drive to work every day and it's a long distance and fuel has increased, you've got high exposure to these inflationary pressures. If you're just getting by, your wages barely cover what you need every month, now you have a very high exposure when food goes up 20, 30, 40% in some cases. You might have a credit card and all of a sudden they raise the interest rates. You might have a mortgage, they raise the mortgage rates. You might have a rental property, and again, they raise the cost of that. The more of these factors you're exposed to, the more exposure you have to inflation. So we need to discuss some ways we can deal with that, both short-term and long-term. Maybe you could work more hours, but that means a 40-hour week has just become a 48-hour week if inflation in real terms is about 20%. So we might be able to do that, but we can only do that for a short period because that's going to be exhausting. We could create a side hustle, flipping something and selling on eBay or somewhere like that. We could flip furniture. We could flip computer games. There's lots of different ways we can flip things and make extra money. But again, I would say that's a short-term solution and it could help us right now, but it does take a continual time investment. We could start a small business creating physical items we can sell. Again, we have this same restriction. It's short-term unless we can outsource the manufacturing elsewhere. We could look at our skill base and create an online service where we take a task that we're capable of doing that someone else doesn't want to do, and we can do it for them. But again, we've got the same problem. We're having to work more hours to solve the problem. Another option, and the one I'm going to encourage, especially for a long-term solution, is we could create digital assets. We can create things that we can sell online. They can be sold digitally, so someone simply downloads them, or they can even be converted into physical products where someone buys and it gets shipped to them. And if we create a product like this, we can sell it over and over and over again. We can create one thing and sell it to many people. So you could spend an hour creating a mug with a particular design on it. And then you sell that mug 1,000 times, and every time you make £1 profit on that mug, you've just turned an hour into £1,000. Now that's a simplification, but that's essentially how it works. You invest your time in creating assets that can be sold over and over and over again, and now your time inherently becomes more valuable. And that's what we mean when we talk about creating assets and digital assets, things we can sell online. So one opportunity right now is print-on-demand products. So we could create a print-on-demand product, and what happens is you take a design, you upload it to a website, that item is sold on that website or on a marketplace. That company then prints that product, sends it out, and you receive a portion of the sale as your profit. You can do it on Amazon with KDP, and Etsy is another place you can do it, and you can sell lots of different things on Etsy. And there are companies like Printful or Printify, and you can use them to create the products. You don't hold any stock. You don't have to invest any money in the stock. And when they sell, they're printed and shipped. But the important thing with these types of businesses, you have to find a niche. Don't do what everybody else is doing. You need to find a specific niche and target that niche. Don't create happy birthday mugs, for instance. There's thousands of designs already out there. Look for a niche. Look for a small group of people that you can target with your product. And if you find a good niche and you can create some good designs, and you can use AI to help you with that, artificial intelligence design services, you can then create something you can sell over and over and over again. Again, using the same idea, you can create digital art, digital graphics, digital music. Again, there's tools, artificial intelligence tools you can use to help you create that. And then you can sell them as resources or packs on marketplaces that accept AI-created assets. Now, you do have to check their terms because some platforms are very funny about that, but some platforms are a lot more relaxed. Another thing you can do right now is start a YouTube channel creating videos that are evergreen in nature. So that means that they're not time limited, they're not time focused, but they're something that people can reference over and over again over the next few years. And that means you create it once and it can keep generating views and income. Especially YouTube Shorts right now, they're very, very good. If you're going to start anywhere, start creating shorts. Similar to TikTok, but on YouTube, the payout's probably going to be better when they launch a new scheme soon. And there's a lot of unexplored niches that you can tap into if you look around. One of the ones I've seen that seems to be quite underserved is like Photoshop tips, for instance, that are in shorts. 1 minute, how to do this. I don't know about you, but when I'm watching a YouTube video and it's a solution that takes like 3 key presses and the video is 12 minutes long, I don't want to watch that. But I often find now when I'm looking for a solution, someone's done a clever little short, showing me how to do a very specific thing in a program called Photoshop, and it shows me in 1 minute or less. Now, there's a lot of value in that. Now, you think about that not necessarily in Photoshop, but think about that for any problem someone's trying to solve. Changing a wheel, changing a spark plug, cooking a meal. A lot of potential there right now. One of the things I encourage you, if you're new, is don't do talking heads like this where you're on screen, but keep it off screen. You don't need that at the moment with shorts. And then use AI to speed up the production process, but don't leave the AI in charge of the creativity and direction, because that just creates a bland, generic mess. But as a productivity tool, it's very useful. Again, you can do the same thing with TikTok. You can create a channel, creating videos that you can earn income from, but try to do it so it's not attached to your own face. And that way, in the future, you can always sell the channel and you can employ people to create the content long term if you want to own the channel but keep making money. Now, here's another interesting one. Have a look at the Amazon Influencer Program, where you can review items by video on Amazon and earn affiliate income when someone buys that product. So what Amazon's doing in the US now, you can upload a video onto a product page and it can be a review of that product. And if someone watches that video and then buys your product, you earn a commission. So in the past, people would do reviews and they would put them on YouTube. But now Amazon are encouraging people to put them on Amazon directly because they're trying to control their own video affiliate business, essentially. So if this is what Amazon is doing and you do something for them they want you to do, you'll get rewarded. And that's got a very good earning potential at the moment if you can find good little niches that are not too oversaturated already. And that's a really good business model because you can look around your house, see some things you bought and start there. And then people can then watch your videos, click, you earn an income. And that's a very hot opportunity right now. So these are the top 5 options where I'm seeing opportunity and growth right now. But look for other opportunities around your areas of expertise that you might have, and maybe see if you can bring them into one of those 5 business opportunities. Whatever you decide to do, the main focus is to stop selling your time for money and instead focus on creating assets with your spare time for a long-term solution to inflation. And then it does not matter what happens with inflation, as your residual income, in most instances, should outpace inflation or reduce the impact to the cost of your living to an insignificant level in the future. When you disconnect your income earning potential from your hours, when you stop selling time for money and instead create assets from your income, then inflationary pressures and inflationary exposure are very much reduced. I've been building online residual income-based businesses for years now. And here's some of the ways that that's helped me almost be immune from inflationary pressures. I'm mortgage-free. I have no debt. My car's paid for, so I don't have the interest on those impacting me. I'm saying this so you can hopefully be inspired to see some of the ways that this reduces that inflationary pressure and reduces that inflationary exposure. I've moved to a small town where everything is practically in walking distance, so I don't have to drive to work. So I only fill my car up every 8 weeks, if that. So I'm not being super exposed to that increase in fuel because I work from home. These are some of the things I've been able to do because I have residual income that's not linked to the time I put into earning money. So the more residual income you have, the more income you have that is disposable, the less these events impact your life. So I'm saying this so you can have some hope. Let's say you put a 3 to 5 year plan in place where in 3 to 5 years, you have enough residual income that this does not affect you. Then that seems a lot more hopeful than staying in the system for the next 20, 25 years, whatever it is, to clear your mortgage if that's what you're doing, till eventually you get out from under those inflationary pressures. Yes, it might not help you immediately right now, but next time you won't be so exposed. So I encourage you to have a think about this, because if you can start finding some time, maybe 2 hours an evening, maybe switch the telly off, go and start a business, 2 hours an evening, if that's an option for you, find that time, think of ways to create that time and create residual income with that time. And that is what will protect you from inflationary pressures in the future. We're going to have lots more entrepreneurial YouTube content coming up soon, so make sure you like and subscribe to get some more of that. We have a free online marketing training course that comes with an exam and certification on our website. I'll put the link below. And we also have some advanced premium training, which is the Business Buddies private community, which has over 58 hours of advanced condensed premium training on marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, and business building. So pop over and check that out if you're interested in that. And I hope to catch up with you in the next video.